Make it weird. That is what is
Oh,
working right
okay.
now. And like
Okay.
not just weird for weirdness' sake, but like we're so inundated with pretty okay marketing.
Mhm.
And pretty okay isn't cutting it now. It's why we're all bored with it.
You found the Live Local Marketing Podcast, where business owners share their knowledge about what's working in the market today. No fluff, just their experiences and stories from people who are making it happen. And if authentic, practical marketing resonates with you, be sure to visit livelocalwarmmarketing.com and learn to grow your business on warm marketing referrals. Now, on to the show. Welcome. Thanks for joining us for the Live Local Marketing Podcast. We're with Miss Rachel. How are we feeling today, ma'am?
I am feeling so good. How about you?
Doing awesome. I don't have the Smoky Mountains in front of me like you do, but we have our own things. You know what I mean?
We'll
I got
struggle
cherry
through, yeah.
blossoms. We got some cherry
Ooh,
blossoms, so that's kind of cool too. It's like we have a little bit of each.
yeah.
Not a mountain, but still neat.
Yeah, definitely.
That's awesome. All right, so we'll do a little bit about Miss Rachel, and then we'll get right into our episode. So Miss Rachel is a fast-thinking, deeply nerdy, nerdy. That's good. Marketing with broad-ranging experience, all for for-profit and nonprofit sectors. She's written for some of the biggest and smallest names in business and excels at marketing that's equal parts data and human-centered. Love that. Having run a marketing business for 17 years with clients in over 21 countries, she's worked with some of the top names in entrepreneurship, as well as influencers, brick and mortars, nonprofits all around the world. Her work has contributed directly with high ROI launches, leaps in audience engagement, industry awards, relationships with top venture capital firms, and nation level honors. And today she's here giving all that information to us. Ma'am, are you ready for the questions?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Let's do it. It's kind of tough sitting here listening to like the thing about you. It's like filling out your
I
college application essays. Like it's really kind
right?
of a tough. Yeah.
And it's like, what do I do with my face? I'm like, that is me.
All right, let's go. We got this. We got this today. All right, talk to us about a time where you had a loss, but it turned out to be a win.
Mm. So I signed my very first client for 5 figures and it like completely stumbled into it.
Wow.
It's, ridiculous.
Okay.
And I ended up firing her. So
Oh,
that
that's
felt like a massive loss to me. But it actually ended up being a win because it wasn't values aligned. We ended up, I thought I would like never work in this industry again, but I actually had a lot of things come out of the woodwork after that. And so it felt like a really great win afterwards.
so. What kind of things did she have you doing? What was the job for? I'm kind of curious now.
So I was on a marketing retainer, and I was writing, launch copy and emails and just anything that would have to go public facing in the business. And that part I was totally fine with. But having seen the back end of some of the things, like some of the advisors were telling people to like mortgage their house to afford working with
Mm.
this business, and I'm like, I just can't back that up, man. I just couldn't do it.
Now, is all of your international, like, how do you get international like the way you did? Because it's not easy to be in 21 different countries. Like, what kind of things happened in your life that got you to that point?
Well, I mean, it helps when you start out there. We were talking beforehand about how I stumbled into this business completely backwards because I stranded myself in Hong Kong when I was 22 and I had to make rent. I
Nice.
had like $200 in my bank account. So I ended up doing this freelance stuff and I had no idea anybody would pay me for it and then kind of fell backwards into a business. But I was living nomadically. And so it was a lot easier to meet people because I was moving every 6 months to a different country.
So you just grabbed your computer and moved from country to country.
Yeah.
Okay, logistics. Let's talk about this, Tim Ferriss. How do
Yeah.
you get the internet and all those things everywhere you go? You working out of like coffee shops and stuff, or how'd you make that work?
Coffee shops, hotspotting. This is like the early to mid aughts too, so it's definitely not the same. There were internet cafes. I had like phone calling
Mm.
cards that I would dial into people with. It was very different.
You were just kind of makeshift and making it work as you went.
Yep.
Oh, and so that probably makes you way tougher now. Like now, because you have all the resources, you're like, I can do that. I can do this, no problem.
Exactly. I have done this in a moving van going up a mountain in a storm. I can definitely take a call somewhere else.
That is awesome. All right, so let's talk about some of your favorites. So, what is currently your favorite marketing strategy? The one you get so excited about?
Make it weird. That is what is
Oh,
working right
okay,
now. And like
okay.
not just weird for weirdness' sake, but like we're so inundated with pretty okay marketing.
Hmm.
And pretty okay isn't cutting it now. It's why we're all bored with it. And so when I see people who are like, how can I stretch the bounds of a LinkedIn post? That's what you really want to look for because we are so desperate for somebody being creative with this stuff.
So AI is not in our questions here today, which is great because I want to ask you, AI can either crank out really boring, monotonous crap
Mhm.
or weird. How do you do that? A quick break before we get to that next answer, because I know that answer is going to be brilliant, which is why I chose this moment to interrupt. If you love what you're seeing and you want to run your business off of warm marketing referrals, visit our website, livelocalwarmmarketing.com. It's got valuable resources, office hours, memberships, the book, an array of resources to help you get rid of cold calls, cold leads, door knocking, and run a business you can be proud of through referrals and warm marketing. Now, back to the show.
I mean, the boring stuff, you just type in like what everybody else is
Well, I
typing and you
mean,
Google like top 10 prompts. The creative
yeah,
stuff,
there
you
you go.
start
There you go.
you start with a strong creative vision and voice for yourself. So it's a tool like everything else.
Mm.
I have had people tell me for like 4 years now, "Oh, this is going to take your job." And I'm like, "Look at me, still ticking." And the point of it is, I know what I'm doing when I go into it. You know, you have to have a strong idea and you have to trust yourself enough that when the robot tells you something, you can be like, absolutely not. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Do better.
So, do you often start with like the company you're working with, like goals, and kind of work your way through creative that way? Talk to us about the process.
I start with figuring out why they actually care about this stuff. So when I work with people,
Okay.
I'll ask a few like warm up questions and then I do the heavy hitter, which is like, what do you wake up thinking about in the middle of the night? Like, what's
Mm.
really all about? And it's always about something human and about something beautiful and creative. And that's normally when they start crying. And when you can tap into that, and they're always like, oh, but I can't talk about that. That's so unprofessional. And I'm like, no, that's what everyone wants to know.
Mhm. So that's going to be that's going to be the title of our episode. Rachel Allen makes her clients cry. That's going to be
I
it.
mean,
That's
yeah.
what we all say. We just
I'll be
got our
known for
title.
that. I'll own that.
All right. So, well, all the traveling, I'm sure it was going solo. You were handling all this stuff yourself. It's just logistically, that was the best way. These
Yeah.
days, what stuff do you handle? What stuff do you have a team handle? How does that look for you right now?
So I actually scaled up to an agency while I was traveling and then scaled back
That's
down
cool.
because I hated it. So now
Oh,
I do almost everything myself, but I just do very few things that I actually want to do. So I don't do a lot of the standard business owner stuff. Like I don't pump out a ton of public facing content. I do handwrite a newsletter, you know? So I really focus on things
uh,
that I love and things I'm really great at and that nobody else is doing. But all that being said, I do often manage teams for clients. And so a lot of what I do is like I bring the brain and then I help them execute and create a system to where they can keep that going even after I'm gone.
okay. All right. So
Yeah.
if they have they have a team of creators and so forth, they hire you to come in, teach them what they should be doing. Like, how do
Mhm.
you even get in the door with that? Because most people would be feel like you're trying to take their job type thing. How do you even get your foot in
Yeah.
the door in that scenario?
So it starts out with the founder saying, "Hey, play nice with her or else," usually. But
Okay.
what
All
what
right.
I do when I come in, because I know that's, I know that's the thing, right? And oftentimes,
Yeah.
people come in and they think I'm there to like get them fired or take their job or, tell them they're not doing well enough. And I'm like, absolutely not. You know this business better than I do. You've worked here for
Mhm.
however many years. I'm just coming in cold. And like, while I may have read everything you've ever produced, I don't know what's happening on the back end here. So I say, you tell me what you're great at, and you tell me the thing that has annoyed you for so long and you cannot figure out how to fix it. And then we start from there.
Mm. Okay, so I also wanted to ask. So that was a great answer. Thank you. I always wanted to ask. So you have that like Gary Vaynerchuk style where like you got to put out 8 to 10 pieces of content. That does not sound like you at all. You're like, just do two that really work instead of
Yeah.
20. Is that correct?
Or, so I mean, what I always say is like, that's the strategy of being loud, right? You don't have to be loud, you just
Yeah.
have to be heard. I don't want to compete with Coca Cola's marketing budget. So think about what you really need and then go for that. If it's 20, do 20. If it's just two, then just do two.
As long as two make some impact and they actually make sense. I'm sure a lot of
Exactly.
entrepreneurs love you saying that because the idea of doing 6 to 10, like Gary tells us to, is daunting.
And
Spending
it's
like time to
outdated.
create a good one.
Yeah,
Go
it's
ahead. Go ahead.
outdated. It's not as effective anymore. I mean, if there are certain situations in which that is a good strategy, but for most people, it's just not.
No. Okay, so once you sit down with a business and you either work with the team or work with whoever, and you sit to them, the first thing has got to be about branding. I'm sure you even
Yeah.
talked about it a little bit already. Once you sit down and ask them some questions, what are some of the hard hitting, the great questions? I know you said wake you up at night, but what are some other great questions you love to ask businesses to get
I
to the brain?
ask Yeah, that's such a great question. So, I'm always interested in values discrepancies because everybody's like integrity, transparency, and honesty, or whatever,
Mhm.
authenticity. And I'm like, no, those are not actually your values. Like, your values are what you do when you can't
That's
pay a
good.
contractor, or your values are what you do when
Mm.
you have a client ask you to do something unethical, and everybody's like, oh, I don't know, maybe, oh, and it's like. I don't ask this in so many words. I get into it more softly, but I'm like, man, what do you do when you're ashamed? Like, what do you do when your livelihood is on the line? And that's where we get to the real values.
So do you run like scenarios past them, or do you have like a checklist of questions? How does it usually look?
So I usually, I've got a kind of frame in my head of like what I'm looking for. But
Got
the
it.
best way I can describe this is like, when you're running your thumb along the outside of an apple and you can feel a soft spot and you're like, oh, there's a
Yep.
bruise there, even if you can't see it. I feel for that in the conversation because usually
Hmm.
something will keep getting brought up or something will like be very not said, or I'll see some tension between the team or with one person. And I'm like, yeah, I got to know more about that. Tell me what's going on there.
So is it like a one-time onboarding, or do you have like several meetings? And do you ever tell people, no, I can't work with you?
Oh yeah. I mean, all the time. I'm really fortunate that I'm able to do that, but a lot of times I have clients or people who wanna be my clients come in and I'll say, "Look, you're wanting something that I don't do," or "You are
Mm,
wanting" people have conditioned you to look for guarantees that I simply cannot and will not make because 'cause I'm not gonna lie to you. So, I'll
gotcha.
definitely turn people down, and it is an ongoing process. So we do a pretty intensive, startup, and then I'll normally do weekly, monthly, quarterly, whatever makes sense, meetings with the team and the founder.
Gotcha. And then you track the progress and then do you decide then if like the relationship should continue,
Mhm.
or do you like, hey, this has been like 2 months. This is not cool. It's not working. Like, how do you decide
Yeah.
those?
Well, I normally give everything a 3-month period because 90 days gives you a
Got
really
it.
good data set. A,
Fair.
a friend of mine has a quote that says, if you're 90% sure after 90 days, then make the decision. And that's normally what I go with. But I go into things, I mean, most clients work with me an average of 18 months. And so I tell them up front, that's what you're probably looking at, unless we're doing like a one off project or something.
Yeah.
And then we take it quarter by quarter.
Oh, that's really good. Awesome. So you've mentioned a few times like you have the 90 days, you have the information. When I use the phrase, and leave this really open-ended so you can take it wherever you want to. When I use the
Mhm.
phrase useful data, what does that mean to you?
Useful data is the data you actually collect and look at. Everybody loves the idea of data and then they get really scared collecting it, or they collect so much of it and they're like, I don't know, we have a spreadsheet with like 7,000 numbers on it. What does this even mean? So there's
Yeah.
two like approaches that I come to this with. One of which you have to deal with the mindset stuff, right? Because people are like, oh, I don't want to give myself a report card. That feels terrible. And there's
Yeah.
this quote from Carl Rogers. He's a founder of humanist psychology, and he has a quote that says, "The facts are always friendly." No matter what it
Mm.
is, if you just know the facts, you can decide from there. So that's the way that I address kind of the mindset of the like, "Oh, don't judge me," with data. And then the other side, a lot of people that I work with are very creative, and they're like, "Oh, I don't want to just look at numbers. Numbers are boring." And I'm like, "They're not." But qualitative data is equally as important as quantitative data. And that just breaks people open when I talk to them about it because they're like, I don't care how many, LinkedIn followers we have, but I really care how I feel about that content. And I'm like, great, that matters. If you are doing something and it just feels terrible, even though it looks good on paper, you probably shouldn't be doing it. There's probably a good reason. We just haven't figured it out yet.
Oh, that's really good. And it often takes an outsider, and I say outsider as like somebody that doesn't run or work for the business to help with that data. So I'm sure
Yeah.
the role you play is very important to that.
Yeah, that's a large part of what I do. It's just come in and
Yeah.
look at things objectively and don't make any stories about it and then say, "All right, here's where we are. What do we wanna do now?"
Do you also spend, and I hear this from marketers pretty frequently, you also do a lot of like client testimonial type stuff, gathering information and making phone calls to their client base to kind of help you with the decisions as well?
Mhm, absolutely, and a lot of what I do is interview based, I have background in
Yeah.
journalism that totally plays out here because I just wanna talk to people and hear what they have to say, and then you can pull so much data from that.
Yeah, so that's a lot of information where they can get it from what is it, the horse's mouth, right? The people
Yeah,
that are out there doing it, and I'm
yeah.
sure they're scared of it, but having a third party like yourself probably makes it a lot easier for them to digest it and collect it.
Exactly, because, like, they don't have to see the look on someone's face when they're like, "Actually, I
Yeah.
think you kinda suck," you know? Or, like, "I love you," whatever makes you uncomfortable.
All right. So do you lead with that? Like, hey, listen, I'm Rachel. I don't work for the company. I'm just interviewing to collect data. Is that how you lead in the end of that conversation?
So, normally I'm doing sort of small group stuff, and the founder will have
Got
given
it.
people a heads up of like, here's what we're doing, here's who this like random is. And then I'll say, like, here's what I'm really interested in, and I walk them through the criteria so that they can feel like they can actually be honest as well, because
Got it.
that's such an important part with reporting.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, otherwise you're not collecting real data.
Right.
Um, awesome. So, all right. So what you've been doing, you've been at this for a minute or two. What
Yep.
strategies don't you do anymore? You're like, hey, listen, this doesn't work.
Mm.
It used to, it doesn't. I'm out.
Oh gosh, there's so many. I think the main, like the primary one is what we talked about, which is like broadcast marketing. Like
Mm,
I'm trying to sort of nutshell this because decades large picture, if we're looking at marketing, we've moved from objective correlative marketing into relationship marketing. And so what that means, objective
okay.
correlative marketing is like, if you smoke the cigarette, you'll look cool. If you have the Cadillac, you'll be sexy, And
Yeah.
now it's much more about values. It's much more about relationships. And that's what carries businesses through. I mean, I've done this for 18 years now, and tactics change all the time, but the quality of the relationship is always what pulls you through. So I focus on that primarily. And I kind of ignore basically everything else. I don't
Got it.
do a lot of broadcast. I don't, I'm not like constantly in networking groups. I look for ways that I can talk to somebody one on one, like podcast guesting, for example, and then have that reach a lot of people so they can see if they actually like dig my vibe and want to work with me.
Do you also part of that same vein? You said broadcasting, which made me think of this. The new age broadcasting is leveraging influencers. Do you
Yes.
do any of those strategies, and how does that work for you? Like, is it what works?
So it works for some of my clients, and some of them really want to do it. And I'm like, "Ew, I don't know that anybody wants an influencer for their lawyer. Like, maybe um, we can try." But like, I
That's
have
good.
I have a leadership company who has a merch brand, which sounds ridiculous, but totally makes sense for them because their whole deal is
Yeah.
about literally like living your values. So they literally wear them on their sleeves. And so we do work with local influencers there. And I think that's the key that people overlook with influencers. They try to go for like, we've got 7 billion followers on TikTok. And I'm like, yeah, but like, what about the mom that everybody looks at in the PTA? Because that's
Mm.
where your decision making is. If you can look for these local nodes of decision making, you can have so much quiet, sustainable profit.
Oh, that is really good. I never thought of that either. All right, so now my mind's wheeling.
I know,
Okay,
isn't it
so
fun?
before we wrap up, we're gonna have you talk about your business at the very, very end. One more question. So you've been at it for a while. We've talked about it. Obviously, you have the confidence. You've been able to tell people no. You've done it before. Talk to us about the person starting out. Like, what kind of things do you need to talk to them about in order to gain confidence? Do a little pep talk for them.
Yeah. All right. I always tell people the same two things. One is that being an entrepreneur is where almost nothing is your fault, but almost everything is your problem. And if you like that,
That's good.
then this is the job for you. If you don't like it, you're going to be really miserable and you'll probably stop at either 5, 7, or 11 years because that's when people tend to drop out because then you're like, man, this never gets less hard. And I'm like, nope, it just gets
Yeah.
different hard forever. The
Hmm.
other thing that I tell people is that you can do so much more than you think you can. People ask me all the time, like, how did you move to Hong Kong? And I'm like, well, I bought a plane ticket and then I put my bag on the plane. Like, and I'm not trying to be like a
Yeah.
smartass about it. That's just literally like those are the order of
Mhm.
operations. And I didn't know it was going to happen. And like looking back, of course it's ridiculous. And it was mostly terrifying during, but you get in the moment and you're like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to figure this out now. Because again,
Yeah.
that's the whole job. All it is solving problems. So whatever whatever reason you were assigning to say that you can't do this, it's just wrong. You can.
That's amazing. Okay. So we'll let you do a little blurb about where people can get a hold of you and your services and all the good stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm Rachel. I run Bolt from the Blue Marketing, copywriting. Wow, good to have my own business name in my elevator pitch. Bolt from the Blue Copywriting, where I help
Uh,
people leverage their language for greater impact and income. So what that looks like practically is fractional CMO work and marketing strategy. I can also support with execution, primarily for larger projects, so launches, books, that kind of thing. I love getting to know people and chatting with people and like dispensing free marketing advice. So please get in touch at boltfromthebluecopywriting.com, or you can just connect with me on LinkedIn and we can chat there.
oh, awesome. I don't know if I've linked friend. I should jump on your LinkedIn.
You
I
should
don't
do
think if I
that.
have you.
Yeah.
I'm usually really good about that before the episode, but today's been kind of a crazy day. So I am
Yeah.
not
Same.
positive I did that, but I'm going to. So we'll have to connect on that one as well. So, all
Yeah.
right, awesome. Be sure you check out the website and set up a meeting just to talk shop I'm sure you can talk and you can describe like the Smoky Blue Mountains and all the good stuff that you have going on, and then years and years and years of experience that everybody can learn something from. So we appreciate your knowledge, all of your insights, and thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks so much.